before I kick it over to Kevin, just a couple housekeeping notes. Everyone will receive a link to the recording of this webinar post. So if we move a little fast and you miss something, you will be able to go back and look at it after. Kevin will also, we can also get questions. There's a questions section. You can filter in your questions there. If there's a break in Kevin speaking, I can sneak them in. If not, we can answer them at the end of the webinar. Just make sure to keep them pertaining to what you see during the presentation. But other than that, I'll kick it over to you, Kevin, to get started.
Hey, good afternoon. I don't know if it's afternoon. It's 1 o'clock here. I'm in the Detroit metropolitan area. I'm Kevin Alexander, and I am a pre-sales solution architect with Alta Vista. So today we'll talk a little bit about, hey, how do you unlock some productivity in Business Central with Copilot, right? A little about Alta Vista. The short of it is all we do is ERP, and our objective, right, since day one, I think 2014, is, hey, how do we make sure that we implement software for you in a way that improves, right, your organization and all of the users' way of working by making them smarter, able to help them scale more, right, and do it with just intent and not really just software features. So let's talk a little bit about agenda today. So we're gonna look at what is Copilot. We'll look at some automation and what are some smarter experiences within Copilot. How do you take advantage of that in Business Central? And we're going to talk about Copilot agents. So it's up front, let's talk a little bit about here, just starting with understanding Microsoft Copilot and Business Central, okay? So what is Business Central Copilot? So really, what if you look at it and when we think about Copilot, so Copilot is Microsoft's AI powered assistant, right? And it's embedded in Microsoft 365 and Dynamics 365 applications, in this case, Business Central. And what it uses is something called a large language model, and it combines it with your organizational data via what is called Microsoft Graph. So what is LLM, right? So what is this thing that we're going to be talking about? How does it work? So think of it, LLM like a super smart autocomplete, right, on steroids. So as an example, if you type on your phone, it predicts, right, like the next word before you write it. And LLM does the same, but instead of just a few words, right, it's trained on billions, that's billions of sentences, right, from all sorts of different sources. So it doesn't think like a human. It's about predicting, right? And it predicts it based on words and phrases. So the analogy I kind of have for this is if you had a giant cookbook, and imagine it's got millions of dishes, and you ask, how do I make a lasagna, as an example? The book doesn't invent a new recipe. It finds patterns from all lasagna recipes as it's seen and gives you the best possible version. So similarly, the LLM uses patterns from language to generate answers, right? So the key points that kind of keep in mind are that it's not magic, it's math and patterns. It doesn't know facts like a person does, like we do. It predicts based on training data. And the more examples it sees, the better the predictions become, okay? So that's the LLM. And so that's Copilot, right? Kind of, we'll be talking about different pieces of that. Then there's Microsoft Graph. So think of Graph as the map of your organization's data. So if you're an organization, you're on Microsoft 365, right? It connects all the pieces of Microsoft 365 together. So emails, calendar, files, team chats, contacts, etc. So I always like to think of it as like a big web, right? And at each intersection of that web, there's an application, and Microsoft 365 Graph is what that is. So it understands it, and what that allows is Copilot, a form of Copilot, right, to be able to see across those, right? So it connects all those things together for us. And so what does that do? It helps boost our productivity, helps us in some cases be more creative, and hopefully eliminate some repetitive tasks. So let's take a peek here. So now, what is Business Central Copilot? So Business Central Copilot is an embedded AI assistant in Dynamics 365 Business Central. And we're going to see today it helps automate tasks like bank reconciliation, sales order processing, inventory forecasting, AP automation, and currently it's included with Business Central at no additional license cost, okay? So if you have Business Central today, you've got these features, and we're gonna take a look at some of these, right? We don't have time to go over them all, but we're gonna look at a lot of them. So now, we talked about Copilot, and we talked in what that is, right? That uses something called an LLM and Microsoft Graph, and it helps make things, that's how it helps us. But you might also hear there's something called agentic AI or agentic Copilot. So what really is that? So what that really means is that agentic Copilot moves us from being a reactive to being proactive. So the analogy I have is like Copilot helps us drive the car, right? Agentic Copilot can drive the car for us within guardrails. So we're going to see that, and in the Business Central, that's starting to come to us with what they call the sales order agent and the accounts payable agent. So we're starting to see bits and pieces of that. They're not fully true agentic, but that's the direction we can see it going there. Okay. So how does Copilot use that Business Central data right now? So it works inside of Business Central. It leverages the ERP data securely. It uses that natural language, queries that we'll provide it, and we'll look at that to help access records and generate insights and automate some tasks along the way. And so the Copilot respects all of the permissions and data privacy that you have set up in your organization and in Business Central. So in other words, as a user, Copilot can't access data that myself as a user doesn't have security for, okay? So let's drive here. And so here's some of the demonstration points that I'm gonna go through here this afternoon together. So we're gonna talk about chatting in Business Central. We're getting into a little bit of data analysis and how Copilot helps us there. Automated pivot tables off that data analysis, bank reconciliation, and then there's those 5 and 6, so the AP agent and the sales agent. So these the sales agent is actually available today. The AP agent is pending probably first part of the year, and my plan is to kind of cover that AP agent, and if we got time, we'll talk about the sales agent at the end of the day. And so let's take a look, right? And let's get live into the software here and take a peek. So let me drive down here and find Business Central. So you should be seeing Business Central on your screen. Greg, can you just give me a verbal, please?
We got you.
Perfect, right? So today, right, a couple things. So let's take a look first. And so in Business Central, I'm going to go up and use our search here, and we're going to look for Copilot and AI. So, oops, Copilot and agent capabilities. So if you come to this screen, right, this screen is showing me, hey, all of the production ready previews that are available. So if you have a sandbox, by the way, because latest version's out, right? if you have a sandbox in your environment available, you can go stand up a brand new sandbox in preview, or it might actually be released in GA right now, meaning general release. And you can look at these, right, without ever actually having to touch your production environment. But there's no harm. There's no harm. So you could go directly in your production environment as well. And this is showing me what AI pieces that I actually have active right now. And you can tell, and mine's a preview because active has a European twist on it, but it should be spelled correctly in your environments. And so we're seeing the different pieces, chat and summarize and some of the things that I mentioned above. And so here you can go and activate or deactivate those. So you have the ability, right, to say which Copilot functionality that you want to make active in your environment, okay? Now, I'll pause there before we get rolling. Any questions or anything, Greg, before we move forward?
Nothing has come in yet.
Okay. So let's first talk about, I'm gonna talk about Copilot Help because it's the most obvious for everybody. And on your role center, at the very top, there is this Copilot symbol way up here, okay? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna select that. And what this does is brings in the Copilot side pane here. And when we are doing, when we're working with Copilot, there's a term that is used when you're working with AI, and it's called prompts. So, like, what is a prompt? So, prompt is like, for me, as an example here, if I click on Find here, it might be, hey, look up, as an example, as a basic prompt, or hey, you know what? I want you to help me understand something. So what is it that we're asking for? And you can do very complex prompts, meaning you can type them in. There's not like a catalog of those. You can think about what those need to look like, right? And so the prompts, right? The better the prompt, the better the response, right? It's going to be back from Copilot. So in Copilot here, I could ask some question as an example, like, let's do this, and I'm going to ask Copilot, you know, show me everything we have with beans, okay? So I have my demo environment is very coffee orientated. And so now, by the way, as it's going through and it's finding that, at the same time, right, if I had a mic set up, I could have just talked that directly into Copilot. So it's looking at all of my Business Central data now to come back and give me a response, right? And so my Copilot is new to me, meaning it hasn't been used, this version, right? Because I'm in a demo environment, hasn't been used very long and doesn't know a lot. And that is a terrible, terrible response when every other time it gives me my response. So what did I mess up here? So I should ask what items have beans, right? Again, it's all about the prompt at the beginning. It's all about the prompt at the beginning. So we'll let that chunk on that for a minute. And it gets a lot better. I'll promise you here in a second. As it chews through it. So if you think about it now, other thing, and so there we go, right? So this is kind of what I was looking for. So what this has come back is, so hey, here's some items, right, that I see in the system with that have beans, right? And if I wanted to, you could select one of these. It'll take you right into that item card, right, inside of Business Central. Or let's go backwards for just a moment. I could ask down here, it says, hey, look, I've got a whole items page. So if I apply that, right, now it's showing me all the items, right, in the system that have beans. And you notice there's the filter that it's applied automatically for us, right? So it takes us directly into those particular records. And so from here, right, you can also drop into, so let's like take a look at an item, and we'll go just a little deeper with this. So in an item screen, a couple other places that that shows up is, and you'll see this on many records, so on items, customers, vendors, and even on some transaction records, there's a section at the top called summary. And I should have clicked, I wanted to activate this before, but what the summary is doing, if you've ever gone into a record before, right? And I have to kind of go through all this, and I have to make sense of like, oh, I can see what our current unit cost is. And maybe if I was interested in how we got to that unit cost, I could drill down in it. Well, what the summary comes back with is it starts to look at all the information, right, inside of our this particular item card. It starts bringing back different types of information for me. And when I click show more, right, over here on the right, it's in Copilot, it's actually saying, hey, you know what, give me some more data about this. Now it's giving me a lot more information and activity about that particular item. Everything from sales information, the cost, who we've purchased it from, etc. And we did that, you know, right from that particular home screen. Now, before I move off of this, let's go back. I'm just going to click on and take us back to our home screen again here for a second. And the other thing that I'm interested in is I'm going to start a new Copilot session by pushing that plus down there. And you can just ask it standard things. So although there's help, right, in the system, I might be interested in how do I enter a purchase invoice? And so what is it doing? Hey, it's not doing anything that I couldn't have gotten through docs.microsoft.com. But here, right, I could ask this any number of ways. Like we all have different ways that we kind of query or ask questions. I asked a very basic one, but it's going to come back and it's going to give me something very basic about here. Oh, here's how you put a purchase invoice in. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But you know, how do I add a purchase invoice line with an allocation? By the way, I've never typed this into the prompt before, but now I can start having this ongoing, I can have kind of this ongoing conversation with Copilot here. So this is what is known as Copilot chat. We'll let those responses come back to us. And there we go. So now it's going to talk all about, hey, how I would put that in. And then I could ask additional questions on that. So I'm having a chat with Copilot. All right. Now, so this is the Copilot chat. Now, there's also data analysis inside of your Business Central as well. And so one of my favorites is I like to use customer ledger entries for this. And so let's go ahead and select customer ledger entries. And let me turn that off, right? Hold on a moment. So this is what the list screen comes up, right? We've seen this a lot. If you know, I'm sure you've been in the customer vendor ledger entries before. And this pulls up this list. And on that list over here, if you look, there's a couple things. So there's an analysis mode. We'll talk about that. Hopefully, most of you have kind of discovered this previously. And there's also Copilot on this page as well. And so I can select Copilot and I can say, you know what, I would like you to analyze this list. And it brings up a prompt for me. So now I can type into the prompt, and I'm going to make my prompt, you know, pretty straightforward here for our example. I'm going to say, show me customer, posting date, and amount. We'll just start with there. I'm going to say, I will go ahead and say generate. Now, this is what Copilot is doing right now, it's just open a new analysis tab. And in an analysis tab, it's gone and carried out that particular request for myself here, right? And so if you look, so if you're not familiar with analysis, those analysis views, if we had clicked see this button right up here, that would have put us in analysis view from the list. And over here on the right, you can come and build, right, your analysis view. But you know what? I like to kind of get a head start on it. Maybe I'm not myself. You know, I don't want to have to decide necessarily what columns or maybe what filters to apply. I want Copilot to help me out with that along the way. And I look at this here, and from here I could ask it a question like, you know what? Show only invoices with a posting date greater than, and we'll hope this works out for me, right? 2/29/2024. And we'll go ahead and we'll do that, right? And so it'll just continue to refine this. And you know, if we wanted to now, right, we could continue this on, and I could say, hey, you know, yeah, I want to group by customer or such, and see this list continue to build out. So if you're not familiar inside of with the data analysis here, there's also a pivot table mode that we can put this in. So we'll go ahead and select pivot table mode, and in pivot table mode here, we can start selecting things, dates and things to show ourselves data in a pivot. And I'm looking for, there we go. I wanted, actually I want a posting date. I must have just popped over that. Where'd that go there? There we go. So I wanted, here, if I pulled a document date by year across the top, and we wanted to see, then I wanted to do it by month, right? And so you can see how you can build that out. Now, over here, I've got way too many values in here. And so we'll just clear those off the list. And this is what Copilot would have been good for. Maybe all I really want to see is the amount that's left open there, right? And here, so now we can drop those, right, in those views. And really what I want to do is take this and put that down there and put that there, right there. There we go. And now we can look at it, and we can, so you can build out pivot tables directly inside analysis mode. And then you can have as many tabs as you want here. And what's interesting, when you're ready, you can always open this up in Excel mode, right? So this analysis, right, allows you to, this analysis mode, right, allows you to ad hoc your data. It will remember these tabs, so I can duplicate this tab if I want, add additionals, and every additional tabs. And every time you come in here, it's going to remember what we did from before, right? And then again, I could share this out to coworkers, and I could add columns, right, from other areas of the application. So, you know, in list view, that's one of the limitations, right, is maybe I want some more data from the customer record. So now we can look at, hey, how we can use Copilot to help build out these analysis that we want to run, okay? So another big area of investment by Microsoft is bank reconciliation. And so let's take a look at that. And if I go in here to bank rec, and we'll open up our bank account reconciliations, and I've got one in here going. Wanted the actual, there we go, the bank rec. So this should look fairly familiar to everyone. And when we're sitting here, oops, in the bank rec, right? You know, over on the left, right? That's coming from our bank. We'll talk about that in a minute. On the right, hey, these are things inside of Business Central, right, that we have not reconciled as of yet. And there's really three ways, if you recall, for that bank rec to be populated, right? I could I could put this in here by hand, a lot of work. I could get a file from the bank, which is kind of traditional, or you can have live bank feeds. And so then you can run this as often as you want, right? Every day as an example. We see our list here that is ready for reconciliation. Now, if we're looking at this right now, what we're going to notice is this side, my bank side and our transactional side, these don't line up really well. And we're going to let Copilot do a little work for us. So remember, Copilot is going to help us with this. It's not, Copilot isn't intended to kind of replace me, but is intended to help get some of the mundane things out of the way. So if I come up here to the top and I see Copilot, I can ask Copilot, hey, I want you to go reconcile for me. And so Copilot has tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, I noticed a few things that I think match up. Can you take a look at these and confirm whether I'm correct or not? And one of them has to do with a couple deposits over here, and those showing up as a single on this side, right? And if I say, yeah, why don't you go ahead and keep that, right? I agree with that. And so now it's matched those things up. So it took these two, right? It saw these two these two payments, right, as a single deposit over here. Now, what it wasn't able to do was it didn't see this bank fee. It doesn't know what to do with. So if with the Copilot, I can come back up here and I can say, you know what, I want you to post the difference to GL. And it's going to look at this and it's saying here, oh, here I see this. Can you help me and tell me what this is? And I can come in here and decide, hey, what the dimension needs to be for this, and I'm just gonna pick something willy-nilly off the list here. And by doing this, I can then add, hey, where do I want to map it to, right? And say keep it. Now, when I do this is my demo, so we'll discard, but once I do this, it's going to post this GL entry and automatically match it for me. Next month, when it sees bank fees again from this bank, it will automatically, when we initially came up here and said reconcile, it'll recognize that what bank fees are because we've already told it. And next month, it'll do it for us. So this is one of those areas, right, that we see they continually improve this automation within inside a bank rec here, okay? Now, another big investment area up front is, hey, AP automation, right, is really interesting. And I'm gonna jump back. So AP automation, let's talk about the agents just for a second. So at the top of my screen, you can see I actually have a couple agents. Now these aren't active. There's some setup required for that, and I'm going to show you we're going to walk through to some degree what that looks like for a payables agent, and we'll kind of step through that process in the PowerPoint demonstration. So I'm going to just click back over here for a minute. And I need to, I want to get off of, got a bunch of these up here. I should have rearranged the order of my presentation here. So I'm going to come back here just one moment as you're looking at my screen. I'm just going to scroll down and we're going to pick up down here with, I'll pick up with the payables agent and we'll go right back into presentation mode. All right, so let's take a look at the payables agent. So here's kind of our, what we're gonna do here is the payable agent addresses like one of the long-standing challenges, right, for finance and operations, and it's finding a way to, how do I kind of do end-to-end processing of vendor invoices? So, you know, traditionally, invoice handling, right, it is always you know, it's one of those make work type projects for us, right? And it requires a lot of specific knowledge and how do I map those in and who's supposed to look at those particular invoices and so forth. So we're going to look at really quickly, I'm going to give a real brief overview of what it takes to configure it, and then we'll activate it, and then we'll kind of look at a vendor sends the invoice, and we'll look at the review and confirm spot of that. So let's look at what configuring that payables agent might look like. So, oops, we're back one. So in our configuration, right, from within the Microsoft 365, there's a whole admin center, right? And so I won't get into the particulars, right? This is probably not the group that is going to do this, but just know that you'll set up a shared mailbox for receiving these invoices, okay? And then you'll assign the teams and groups to those folks that need to see these inbound, okay? So let me step through this. I'm just gonna step through this initial setup of that mailbox, right? And let's talk about now what it takes to activate the that payables agent, right? And so we're gonna come into Business Central. And once in the Business Central, at this point, right, we can select BC. And now from the role center, the agent's in that top right corner that we were talking about a minute ago, and it's got that little plus symbol next to it. And so if we select that, right, we'll get a indication, hey, I want to activate this. So what happens here is what we're really going to turn on is we want to monitor that mailbox that we just set up just a moment ago, right? And so it'll look at all the mail that's associated with that. And then next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to select payables, right? So this was the email account that we set up just a moment ago. And then what we're going to do is, hey, the configuration of the agent, what does this look like here? And we're really going to help teach it a couple things really quickly. The first is, hey, I want to feed it some example sample invoices. So remember when we talked about at the very beginning, when we were talking about Copilot and how Copilot works, right? It learns from patterns and learning. And so, you know, at first, right, it's going to learn what different vendor invoices look like and those patterns to help determine how it's going to handle those going forward, right? And so here we can then activate the payables agent sample invoices, and it will go through this process, right? And so we'll download those, and then when we're all said and done, we can head back into the application and say, let's go send those automatically to configure the email now in the system. And we're going to say finish. And so with that all done, we are now ready, right, to kind of jump in and activate the agent in the system and say update. So our steps were we set up that mailbox. We went through and ran a couple configurations, helped it learn a little bit about vendor invoices from some samples that Microsoft provides just for the agent itself, and it will continually learn. And here we're going to go ahead and hit the update. And so now we can jump into the application we receive that invoice from our vendor. Okay, so we're gonna show, hey, I'm gonna send an invoice here, and so I've got this payables invoice that we're gonna send in, and this is coming. It's coming from I'm the vendor, right? And I'm gonna send it in to the company that we just configured. And now once that has been sent in and left my drafts, we're going to now review and confirm the invoice, okay? So in the role center, so for the individuals responsible for looking at this, we'll be able to, if I click on the payables agent there, they're going to see, hey, we've received this email from, and then the email that was just sent right from the vendor that we created. And we can go ahead and click on that and say, I want to review. Now you can handle things in different ways. You can be very automated or go through a review process, meaning if I trust that my payables agent, right, is all functioning as I like, and I don't need to see it, we can pass it through, but we're going to review it. That's part of our process. So now I can just review that and say, hey, I want to view the PDF, right? That has come in. So we can select that view PDF, and now we can see what that invoice looks like, and I can do the I can look at this, right, and confirm, and we do that review draft before finalization, and you can see it's creating the kind of that workflow on the right side. We can see where it's at in the process, right? And then if we move over to that next tab, then we can see that there's a purchase document draft that was created for us. And as any work, like we want to review this right before finalizing the draft. So Business Central provides suggestions in this case, like what fields might need to be manually reviewed, okay? And so we'll go ahead and it's asking us to confirm, and we can say, yep, I would like to go ahead and confirm that. And now we can do that final confirmation and finalize the draft. And so now we have that draft invoice in the system for us. And if we come back over into BC, we can now see that the draft document was converted into a finalized document, a purchase invoice for us. And now here it's all ready for us to finish processing. And so that steps us through that invoice input and review and approval process in Business Central. And so with that AP process, right, we can configure, we activated, we receive a vendor invoice, and we can review it and confirm it all on screen. Okay, so those are some of the Copilot features, right? And there's several others in Business Central. Like I said, there's the sales agent as well. There's sales order line recommendations as well. There's marketing text. So there's some what I call some other helpful productive pieces inside of BC. Today are some of the ones that you can kind of start off with today. And so when we look at the pricing for Copilot, it's included, right, at no cost in the essentials and premium plans, right? And those essentials and premium plans, if you don't have Business Central, they run $80 or $110 per month per user, right? So, and there's no separate Copilot fee today, although in quote or in parentheses here, right? Hey, fair use policies might apply later for us. And if you want to use Microsoft 365 Copilot, that runs roughly, and I use the number $30 per user per month. So what's the difference, right? So there's different flavors of Copilot. So Business Central's Copilot comes baked in, no additional cost for all the core features and everything that we just looked at. If you want to take advantage of Microsoft 365 Copilot, which kind of then crosses, right, my email and all my Office products and my communications, then and you can do kind of deep learning things with that, or research, right, and evaluation or analysis, I should say. Then that is that Microsoft 365 Copilot license, okay, in the system. So why does all this really matter at the end of the day? Because AI in the ERP it's going to save time. It's going to help reduce the number of, errors that I might make. And it's going to help make better decisions, right, in the long run. And we're just starting, right, to see all that momentum. So, the ROI on that is, hey, potentially faster month-end closes. I can look at inventory forecasting as an example, and I can help streamline that AP and sales process if I want. Okay. So this gets us to the end of today's look at Copilot in Business Central. And so we're open for any questions that anybody might have.
Yes, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the question section or in the chat, and we can get them answered for you. I'll give a couple minutes just for people to drop anything in if they have it. I don't see anything coming through, Kevin.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks. We really appreciate everyone that attended today, and we hope to see you at the next webinar.
Thanks, everyone.